Tofu by not wearing shoe spikes and turning into a human hockey puck.
Mr.Reddit.
So, today I learned the hard way that I'm not as coordinated as I think I am. Winter has turned my neighborhood into an ice rink, but instead of preparing properly, I thought, I'll be fine. Spoiler alert, I was not fine. I was walking to the store to grab some essentials, hot chocolate, obviously, and everything seemed normal. A little slippery, sure, but I'm a confident walker. I've been walking my whole life, I know what I'm doing. Then I hit the ice patch. It wasn't just any ice patch, it was a sneaky one. You know, the kind that hides under a thin layer of snow, lying in wait like a villain in a bad action movie. I stepped on it, and suddenly, my feet were no longer part of the walking equation. It happened in slow motion. My legs went full cartoon mode, flailing in the air like I was auditioning for Dancing on Ice, the fail compilation. For a brief moment, I thought I might recover, but no. Gravity whispered, "Not today, pal." I landed flat on my back with a sound that can only be described as thud meets whoopee cushion. To make matters worse, my bag flew open, and my wallet skated away from me like it was trying to escape the embarrassment. Two strangers rushed over, trying not to laugh but failing miserably. One of them asked, "Are you okay?" And I, in my infinite wisdom, responded, "I'm just practicing for the Olympics." That only made them laugh harder. The walk home was a humbling experience, to say the least. I was bruised, physically and emotionally, covered in snow, and now fully aware of why people wear those spiky shoe things in the winter. I've officially added them to my Amazon cart.
Tofu by taking too long to tell my coworkers I've never done cocaine. So around lunch, I was talking to my coworkers Sally and Amy about fantasy novels and the rise of BookTok type writing. I said literature would be better off if those writers stayed on Wattpad and AO3. Sally laughed and said that to be a good writer, you need both talent and motivation, but sadly plenty of new writers seem to only have the motivation. I've always wanted to be an author, so I replied that although I'm not sure if I have the talent, I know for sure I don't have the motivation. Amy, who also writes in her spare time, said she was the same way and wished she was able to be more like Stephen King and crank out consistently good novels like it was nothing. Sally then said that she was pretty sure Stephen King did lots of coke in the 80s, so that's probably where his energy came from. Amy joked, who knew that was the secret to motivation this whole time. We all laughed, and then I fucked up. I tried to continue the joke. Without thinking, I responded, well, I've never completed even one novel, so I wouldn't be the expert on how those two things interact. Sally and Amy looked at me. It was silent for about 4 or 5 seconds, but it felt like much longer. I realized how what I said probably came off, and panicked. Silence followed for maybe another 2 seconds while I thought what to say next. What felt like ages later, I finally followed up with, "Nor have I ever done cocaine." I've been thinking about this all day since it happened, and I'm still mortified. I keep telling myself that my coworkers have probably forgotten about it already. Hopefully there won't be an HR meeting in my future.
Tofu by crashing my bestie's family-only birthday. My best friend and I have been inseparable for years. Like, I don't even double-check when she mentions a party. I just know I'm invited. She told me about her birthday, gave me the date and time, and I'm like, cool, see you there. I even got her a super thoughtful gift and planned my outfit like it was an awards show. The day comes, and I'm ready to party. I knock on the door, all hyped, and her mom opens it, looking a little confused. I'm like, hey. Where's everyone? She hesitates, then goes, this is just for family. At this point, I'm holding the gift, and my smile's turning into that oh no emoji. Yikes. Her mom must have seen the pure mortification on my face because she's like, well, come in anyway, you're practically family. I was about to say no, but she kinda pulled me inside, and suddenly, I'm in the middle of her grandma and her little cousins. My best friend walked in and looked shocked, but then she laughed and hugged me, saying it was fine. So there I am, sitting at the table, eating lasagna with her aunt talking about knitting, trying not to die of awkwardness. By the end of it, her family had basically adopted me. Her grandma even told me I should come to all their family gatherings. So now I'm part of this weird inside joke, and I don't know if I'm ever living this one down.
to food by microwaving my girlfriend's leftover rice. So this all started Saturday night. My girlfriend and I went out and picked up some Korean food, beef, rice, and a few other things. We had 2 containers of rice, and after we ate we packed up the leftovers and called it a night. When she left I ate the rest of the beef and my portion of the rice. Since there were 2 containers of rice, I figured we still had some leftovers and went to bed. The next morning I went grocery shopping. When I got home, I shredded a pound of Monterey Jack cheese, used some of it for a cheese dip, and put the rest in one of my Tupperware containers, where I keep all my leftovers obviously. Later my girlfriend came over and I asked if she wanted the rest of the Korean food. She said she just wanted the leftover rice and the sauce from one of her dishes. I was convinced we still had rice left over, and lo and behold there was a big Tupperware container in my fridge filled with rice. This is more than I thought we had last night, I thought, but I didn't think much of it. My kitchen was pretty dim, just the stove light, but it was enough to see a giant container of white rice. I started by putting a little bit of it in a bowl and focused on extracting the sauce to go with it. I didn't notice anything weird about the rice at first. It felt a little clumpy, but it was sticky rice, so I figured the consistency was normal. Then I microwaved it for a minute and a half. When it was done, it was a burnt mess completely stuck to the bottom of the bowl. I recently got a new microwave and haven't used it much, so I figured maybe it was more powerful than I realized. Honestly, I was more pissed about burning the sauce, as that was pretty much all that was left. Angry and determined, I scraped the last bits of sauce into the giant Tupperware and figured my girlfriend would be fine with just a bunch of rice. This time, I was going to be smart and only microwave it for 30 seconds. You can't burn anything in 30 seconds, right? Well, 30 seconds pass, and when I take it out it's a giant white pancake. What the fuck? At this point I'm angry, embarrassed, and feeling like a fool. I had to turn to my girlfriend and say, "Yeah, babe, I don't know what's wrong with this rice, but it keeps burning." She looked confused and said, "Huh?" So I explained how it kept sticking together and melting. She came over, looked in the bowl and said, That's cheese." I was like, "What? Did they put cheese in your rice?" Thinking maybe hers was different than mine. She just started laughing and said again, "It's cheese." It took me a solid minute before it hit me. I microwaved a fucking pound of Monterey Jack cheese thinking it was rice. I don't know how I'm going to come back from this. I've been cooking for over 5 years. I was completely sober, and I don't think I've ever questioned my sanity like this. But here we are. Oh, and to make matters worse, there was no rice. I ate it all the night before, and didn't realize we only had 1 container of leftovers.
To foo by forgetting half of a Christmas gift. This obviously happened a few weeks ago during Christmas. My brother and I loved Rock Band growing up, but when we got old enough to move out of our parents' house we had to get rid of all of our instruments to make some space, and our PS3 no longer works the best anymore. I recently came into a bit of money doing a side hustle where I sell clever, tongue-in-cheek bumper stickers that have been doing way better than I expected. So, I wanted to surprise my brother with a big gift this Christmas, and with how expensive it can be to get your hands on old Rock Band instruments, I figured it was a good gift. I bought everything: the instruments, the game, and the PS3. We live far, so we meet up at our parents' house every Christmas, which is a 6-hour drive for me. My brother came down with COVID, so I wasn't able to give him the gift directly, so I left it at my parents' to give to him when he felt better and thought nothing of it. I drove home and my brother thanked me for the gift over text a few days later, and all is well. That is until I opened my closet and noticed that I never actually gave him the PS3, as it was hiding in the back behind all of the other gifts I had, and I must have barely missed it. He was too nice to tell me that he didn't have a PS3 to play everything on and went out to buy one himself, so now I have an extra PS3 with nothing to do with. To foo by trying some mints. A few weeks ago, my wife brought home some mints. She manages a small boutique, and one of the vendors included a small tin of mints with CBD bombs as a gift/sample. She came home for lunch and came to my office. I work from home as a consultant helping customers solve problems in the tech industry. She said, "Hey, I think you'll like these mints. A vendor sent them for free and I don't like how chalky they are. I love chalkiness. If Tums weren't a medicine, I just might eat those recreationally. I tried one and they were decent. She left them on my desk, so I casually had a few more while responding to some emails between meetings. Almost an hour later, I was on a call with a big customer and I started to feel some butterflies in my stomach. It wasn't much at first, so I brushed it off. But the feeling grew. The butterflies were a mild excitement, like I was nervous. I started to wonder if the tone and complexity of our conversation was somehow leading me to a panic attack, or some worse health crisis. My heart rate was 115 BPM, it should be around 70 while sitting. Something was happening. I'm freaking myself out a bit. Am I having a heart attack? No. The feeling was something familiar. I scrutinized the tin, and sure enough, 1 milligram of THC per mint. I was paying zero attention to the call at this point for I don't know how long. It could have been 30 seconds or 10 minutes. I was very high at this point. Hopefully, I think I was inwardly panicking. But it might have been written on my face. To make it even more obvious that I wasn't paying attention, I was texting my wife, who was getting a massage at the time. Where did those mints come from? I asked innocently because I didn't want her to see the text in panic. The harm's done. She might as well enjoy her massage. That was my intention, but I didn't keep my cool for too long. They finally lobbed a question my way. They were paying for my time after all. They had this enormous paragraph of a SQL query that was doing some light math with nested singleton queries in joins. It wasn't outputting what they expected. I could barely make heads or tails from it at first, but after staring for an excruciating amount of time, I understood what they did wrong and offered a suggestion. Oh, of course. Thank you. That's what was wrong. Well, that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to discuss. Anyone else? No? Great. Talk to you next Thursday. Bye. I had to leave as fast as I could and gave a very much fake excuse to miss my last meeting of the day. The sense of relief to be off of that cursed Zoom call reminds me of those near-miss videos you see where someone almost dies. I went to lay down and stare at my phone, reeling over such a tremendous fuck-up. How fucking unprofessional to be tripping out while consulting for a megacorporation. How obvious was I not paying attention? How obviously confused was I at my topic of expertise? It makes me cringe to think about it. The mints are now safely stored with similar recreational, non-working hours treats which are typically reserved for a bit before I go to sleep. I used to have a lot of issues going to sleep before weed gummies.
Thank you all for watching. If you are interested, subscribe and watch other videos.